Hey guys, today's video I wanted to talk on how fast do you have to run for a sub 2 hour half marathon. And overall it's a pace of 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile or 5 minutes and 41 seconds per kilometer. And again, as we've talked about in a lot of other videos, the sustainment of the pace is oftentimes the biggest hurdle for a lot of athletes, because we get to a point where we can get from 7 miles to 10 miles of the half marathon at goal race pace, but then we have problems at the latter stages of the race, the last few miles of the race. And I've dealt with it as well in this particular event. Actually, the half marathon distance is probably my favorite event. I ended up running 1 hour and 7 minutes and 6 seconds for the distance, so I know what you guys are dealing with in trying to break the 2 hour half marathon barrier. I actually have a course on RunDreamAchieve.com called the sub 2 hour half marathon domination course, and I'll leave a link below this video so you guys can check that out if that's something that you're interested in. But I think in terms of answering the question of how fast do you have to run for a sub 2 hour half marathon, I want you guys thinking about quality over quantity. You have to focus on what do I need to be doing to get the best results. I already know how to work hard, but in the past, working hard hasn't always gotten me the results that I'm looking for. So I want to start working smarter now. I want to start working on running less volume, less kilometers, less mileage per week, but getting better results by working smarter and not necessarily having to work as hard, but to yield the better result that I'm looking for. What I've used in the past to run big PRs in the half marathon distance is, one, getting my tempo runs extended out to longer durations running. You want to run your anaerobic threshold, run for longer periods of time at your anaerobic threshold to get to a point where you can clear lactic acid faster than it's building up in your bloodstream. This is very, very key in being able to sustain pace over the 13.1 mile distance. The half marathon is more of an aerobic event than an anaerobic event, so you want to mix up your training, getting on the track, doing those mile repeats. You need to run 9 minutes and 9 seconds or 5 per mile, or 5 minutes and 41 seconds per kilometer. So you do want to get to a point where you can get on the track and do about 5 to 6 1 mile repeats at around 8 minutes and 30 to 8 minutes and 35 seconds per repetition, with between a 2 minute and a 3 minute recovery between each rep. Earlier on in your training, you want to give yourself more time to recover, because it's going to be very difficult when you're not as fit, especially anaerobically fit, to be able to do those 5 to 6 mile repetitions. You may have a hard time early on. You may be able to only do between 2 and 3 repetitions early on as you're getting fitter. All of my training programs, all of my training programs range in length between 4 weeks all the way to 16 weeks. If you're training for a half marathon and trying to break the 2 hour half marathon, I would advise focusing more on a 12-week to a 16-week block of training. If you're looking at my running courses on RunDreamAchieve.com, all of those are 16 weeks in length. That way you get the most bang for your buck. You're able to really focus in on laying that strong foundation of mileage first, and then start implementing specific training that you need in order to break a 2 hour half marathon. Again, there are a lot of athletes around the world that are working very hard to break the 2 hour half marathon barrier and still never do it. So what I want you guys to do now is to start implementing strategies that the best athletes are using in order to get better results by working smarter rather than harder. One, running tempo runs at longer durations is very, very key, where you don't focus so much on pace, but you focus on heart rate. I'm a very, very big believer in heart rate monitor training. If you have not started implementing that into your training program, into your preparation for your next half marathon, I really want you guys to invest in yourself and buy yourself a heart rate monitor. I'm going to leave a few links below this video of a few of my top recommendations that you can invest in that will get you really thinking about heart rate effort rather than pacing, because as you get fitter, your heart doesn't have to work as hard, and your pace is going to eventually increase already. What heart rate monitor training does, especially in terms of you trying to go after a half marathon personal best, is when you're out on the roads, you can focus on heart rate and not focus so much on worrying about splits. Earlier on, as you're not very fit, your pace is going to be slower already. But as you get fitter and your heart doesn't have to work as hard to deliver that blood to your working muscles, your pace is going to get faster as you get fitter. So what heart rate monitor training does is it ensures, especially on your recovery days, that you're running slow enough to recover from those hard workouts that you're doing. If you're trying to break the 2-hour half marathon, you also need to focus on easy running as well. It's still important. You can still there are a lot of runners out there that can still get under the 2-hour half marathon barrier by just running easy to moderate mileage on a consistent basis over a long period of time. So you don't necessarily need to do hard speed workouts to break a 2-hour half marathon. But as you get fitter, and this is a competitive half marathon time, there are a lot of athletes that never break this barrier. So I want you guys to also know that yes, you do need to run easy and you need to be consistent over a long period of time, building consistent mileage, but you also do need to spend time training at paces that are faster than your goal race pace. So you need to get comfortable running at 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile or 5 minutes and 41 seconds per kilometer. So you do need to spend time training at paces that are around 8:30 mile pace or around 5:15 to 5:20 per kilometer pace. So you get well below that goal race pace that you're trying to sustain over the entire duration of your race. Another big tactic that you need to start implementing now to break the 2-hour half marathon is start running your long runs at closer to about 85 to 87% of your maximum heart rate. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that you need to run every single weekend at a faster effort in your long runs. What you do need to do is first, like I said, spend those first 4 to 6 weeks of just running easy, long base mileage in your long runs. And then as you get fitter, start spending about, say you're doing say you're trying to do between a 10 to 15 mile long run. So as you get fitter and you actually start being able, you can start seeing your leg turnover, you start seeing faster splits. Take between 5 to 8 miles of that 15 miler and start spending it at around 160 beats per minute if you're wearing your heart rate monitor. Okay, if you're not wearing a heart rate monitor, you just want to go off of feel. You want to pick up the pace, but it should not be labored. You shouldn't be feeling like you're going into oxygen debt while you're doing your long run, but you do want to spend it at a moderate effort for that 5 to 7 to 8 mile portion of your 15 mile long run. Just for an example, as you get fitter, you're thinking about running the half marathon, and this is as you get very, very fit, you want to spend a little bit of time running at closer to your 5 to 10K race pace for a portion of your portion of your long run. So an example of this was like for me when I was training for the half marathon to run a personal best for the half marathon and the marathon distance. I would get, and this is again when I was very fit, I would do say like a 20 mile long run where I would run a very easy, relaxed 2 to 3 mile warm up / jog. Then I would do say a 5 mile portion at 160 beats per minute. And then I would jump and do a sub 5 minute mile right after that 5 mile portion. Then I would jump back into a 5 mile effort, back into a relaxed, easy to moderate effort between 150 to 160 beats per minute. And then I would drop another sub 5 minute mile. So again, these are very varied efforts for a long run, but in terms of you breaking the 2-hour half marathon barrier, think about what you need to be, think about these types of strategies for your long run. So in your case, if you're trying to go under 2 hours for the half marathon, think about doing a portion of your long run at again, around 160 beats per minute, around 85% of your maximum heart rate, and then drop 845 mile right in the middle, or 835 to 845 mile right in the middle of your long run, and then get back into that 160 heart rate effort, and then a few miles down the road, drop another 830 mile, just very hard, then ease back into a relaxed effort so you can recover, then drop another hard mile. And again, this is when you're extremely fit. This is after you've built several weeks of easy mileage. So I just want you guys to think about these types of strategies as you're running, as you're preparing for your sub 2 hour half marathon. You definitely can do it, but you also have to visualize success. Visualize yourself getting across the finish line with 1:59:59 on the clock. I cannot stress this enough of how important visualization and training the subconscious mind is. You must see what you're wanting to achieve in your mind first before it ever becomes reality. When I was a 2:43 marathoner, I was still thinking about breaking the 2:22 marathon barrier. Obviously, we know a 2:43 marathon and a 2:21:59 marathon are not the same thing. This is a drastic drop in time. Say right now you're a 2:30 half marathoner and you're wanting to get to 1:59. You must train your mind to attract what you're wanting. And yes, you cannot just train physically. You cannot just mentally train and visualize yourself doing this and not do any of the physical work. So I'm not saying mental training in and of itself is going to get you under 2 hours, but it's a combination of mental training and your physical preparation to get you to a point where you can run 1:59:59 or faster for the half marathon. Now, I know some of you guys have already broken the 2 hour half marathon, and if that's the case, I want you thinking about these types of strategies to get you to that sub 145, that sub 130, that sub 120, that sub 110. Some of you guys are crazy elite and you're trying to break an hour and 5 minutes. You have to think about the goal race pace you're looking at and extending the amount of time you're training, one, at your anaerobic threshold, so you're training at higher levels of lactic acid buildup and toughening yourself to clear that and to be able to handle that for longer periods of time. But you're also spending enough time running very easy so you can recover from all these hard efforts, these longer anaerobic threshold runs, the hard track workouts where you're really working at your Vo2 Max, your maximum heart rate, where you're doing those repeat 200s, the repeat thousands, repeat 400 meter repetitions, where you can only spend a few seconds to, at most, a couple minutes to 3 or 4 or 5 minutes at these types of efforts. So I hope this particular video in terms of how to run, what pace you need to be running at and what pace you need to be thinking about in terms of your half marathon, your sub 2 hour half marathon strategy has been helpful for you guys. If you're brand new to the channel, my name's Nate Pennington. I'm the founder of RunDreamAchieve.com. I'm a 219 marathoner, former member of the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program. So I've created this YouTube channel as a means to help athletes around the world get better results by working smarter rather than harder and thinking outside the box and not just doing the status quo. So please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon, so when I make a new video, you'll be notified of it. And if you can, I'd really appreciate it if this video has been helpful for you. If you guys will give me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate that. It'll help the channel grow. And if you have a specific question or comment, anything that's on your mind in regards to breaking this particular barrier or another barrier in another event, leave me a comment below this video and I will reach out to you. Or even if you have a specific topic you want me to cover in my next video, leave that below and I will definitely make an answer to your question in my next video. So I wish you guys all the best. Have a great weekend and I'll talk to you guys all in the next video.